morning, everyone. Welcome to this SheTrades Accelerator Programme launch workshop. We're very happy to have all of you today. Bonjour à tous et à toutes pour l'atelier de lancement du programme Accélérateur SheTrades. So we'll just do a quick introduction. For those who don't know me, my name is Wendy Parachin. I'm currently managing the project on ITC side, and it's a real pleasure to be with you. I've been working for SheTrades for 13 years now, and supported many MSMEs from all around the world to become export ready and taking them to international trade fairs. I'm currently also overseeing the organization of SheTrades Global Dubai. I hope you will also join us to this amazing flagship event taking place in Dubai. So today, it's all about this two-day workshop, launch workshop, and I'm just gonna introduce you to our wonderful speakers. So we have today with us Mrs. Angelika Frey Oldenburg. She's the head of the project culture and creative industries at GIZ in Bonn, Germany. This is a BMZ funded program, develops strategies that aims to develop strategies and approaches to create jobs and generate income for the creatives. Angelika holds a master in business administration and has a long-standing experience of promoting financial and banking support to the MSMEs and green finance in the public and private sector. She gathered her professional international experience mainly in Africa and the MENA region, where she was heading capacity development program for small businesses and startups on livelihood, incubation, and diversification. She also worked in Mali and contributed to the GIZ report Voices of Creatives. Angelika, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for your lovely welcome, and good morning also everyone, especially good morning from the business side and from organizations all over the world who are interested in this fantastic ITC SheTrades Accelerating Program. Dear ITC SheTrade colleagues and dear colleagues from GIZ as well. It is a real and great pleasure for me to launch today, together with ITC SheTrades, the Accelerator Program for women entrepreneurs and business support organizations in the fashion sector, focusing on apparel, accessoires, and decorative home. Creative industries such as the fashion sector have a high economic growth potential and are predestined for generating employment for the youth, as recent World Bank studies also showed on the so-called orange industries. This is why the German Development Corporation, GIZ, on behalf of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, is supporting creative industries. Focusing on creative industries is quite new for development cooperation. In fact, we started in 2018 with a pilot program in 6 different countries. These are South Africa, Senegal, and Kenya, as well as Lebanon, Iraq, and Jordan. And we are continuing with this collaboration up to now. We are also collaborating in all our 6 countries with the Goethe Institute, so we combine competences in culture and competences in development approaches within our program. During our pilot phase, we gathered a quite good understanding on how we can best accompany and support creatives in our countries, and we identified 4 subsectors as most promising: the animation sector, the design sector, the music sector, and of course, the fashion sector. What are these approaches and findings, especially during the pilot phase? Well, we recognized the big potential for networking and mutual learning in our partner countries. So we implemented short-term trainings already. Especially for the fashion sector, we offered export incubator trainings in Senegal, Kenya, Lebanon, and Jordan. Most of the fashion businesses we worked with, were able to increase their knowledge on international markets and especially in e-commerce, and changed their business strategies accordingly. That was a real coincidence, as the global COVID crisis just was beginning at that time. So the relevance of establishing sales outlets online became real to our participants who previously used in-person contacts and sales. Luckily, that online approach saved several businesses from closing their shop, especially throughout the difficulties of the last 1.5 years. Learning from our first intervention were, in addition, that there is a huge potential to create valuable assets for creatives, for example, by facilitating the participation of fashion designers in international fashion events and fairs, or by encouraging networking and pooling of resources to bring competences together, or by creating an enabling environment for direct or indirect matching of creatives with customer or buyers markets. At the same time, we recognized that it is essential to work with existing support structures in country to make sure knowledge is kept in the country and passed on to further generations of fashion designers. If we work with organizations that are willing and able to continue trainings, network events, etc., we establish a real sustainable structure. Another important finding was to streamline our different activities. That means that singular tested activities during the pilot phase and in each country should be combined in one overarching approach to offer stringent knowledge and access to fashion designers and women-owned businesses in all 6 countries equally. This is why we are very happy to kick off the program today with 2 days of workshops and input on the most relevant fields of international success: digital business, sourcing strategies, transparency, and last but not least, also how to best visually present your brands. ITC SheTrades is a strong partner and builds up on their profound expertise. With these kinds of trainings, we offer now a high quality training program to women-owned businesses in all of our partner countries. These countries are highly diverse, and even though all of them are full of potential in innovation, each of them faces their individual obstacles with regards to access to markets, ease of doing business, and very importantly, also the recognition of the fashion sector itself and its relevance for job creation and employment. For this instance, we see a very important role also for organizations that support these creatives in the fashion sector. We need to build on that valuable structure and organizations that provide these creatives with further trainings, information, network capability, etc., in order to build a sustainable creative and business environment. With this expertise of ITC SheTrades, we want to further stimulate the potential of business increase for the fashion industry, and also again to mobilize job creation in that sector for a meaningful and dignified employment. I'm really very excited about the training to come. A big thank to everyone who signed up for joining this project. A big thank to ITC SheTrades and colleagues, and we are certain it will be worth your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angelika, for your kind words. And we're also very excited and very thankful to GIZ. Now, the floor is to Mr. Simon Bell. He's the Program Officer for the SheTrades Initiative, with responsibility for the portfolio of country delivery and institutional projects. He's been working in ITC since October 2018. He brings experience from the public and private sector, managing economic development, post-conflict, and natural resource management interventions. Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wendy, and really a real pleasure to connect with all of you today, as Angelika said, particularly with those from the private sector and institutions who who we hope to be working with over the course of this project. It's a real, I think from a SheTrades perspective, I have to say it's a real privilege to be able to work with these exceptional entrepreneurs and institutions and partners over the course of our work. And I have to sort of add to that, it's also a real pleasure to be able to work with donor partners who understand the challenges and demands. And I think the partnership with GIZ is a burgeoning one, and one that we look forward to growing further. I want to thank, just at the very start, GIZ, German Corporation, and Angelica for the partnership in setting this program up, and the opportunity to work with you, but also in supporting our exceptional stakeholders across the countries in which we will work. And I note the GIZ support across green work, as well as work in supporting women take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, for example, and really looking forward to building on that partnership in this program. I think it's worth just adding also that this program sits within the broader SheTrades initiative that many of you will already be familiar with, but it's an initiative that extends globally across almost 20 projects. We have around about 16 SheTrades hubs where we partner with national institutions to support women at a national level through the use of SheTrades tools and resources, and all of which is aimed at connecting women to market globally. And I'm happy to launch this program as a further contribution and an important contribution to what we hope to achieve with all of you. Angelica has already spoken about the program. I think the approach of the program reflects the SheTrades approach, which is one that we've developed over time through learning from working with all of you, with our stakeholders on the ground, as to what works for you. So in this program, we'll be working with entrepreneurs in the apparel, accessories and home decor sector, as we've heard, but also with business support organizations in order to build sustainability into that intervention across the countries, including Iraq, Jordan, Kenya, Lebanon, Senegal and South Africa. In the process of doing that, we work at a number of different levels with business support organizations to build a supportive ecosystem to continue to connect women to market and empower women entrepreneurs in the longer term. We will, as you will see over the course of the next couple of days, work to increase the competitiveness of women-owned businesses, as well as create new and innovative market linkages. And I think the key word there at the moment in particular is innovation and creativity. We're lucky enough, I think, in this program to apply lessons learned from other programs, in particular SheTrades Commonwealth program, which was a previous project. And I'm delighted to be able to say that Wendy and Tara were working on that program and continue to work within SheTrades on delivery of this program. So we are able to bring an exceptional level of expertise and learning both in the sector and also about the challenges faced by women entrepreneurs, and we're very lucky to be able to do that. We learned that the textiles and apparel sector was particularly impacted in its supply chains through the global pandemic, disproportionately so, but we also learned that entrepreneurs in the sector, as you will already know, are incredibly resilient and creative. And so now there is an opportunity to learn from that and look at new and innovative ways for businesses to pivot their models in these times of change through digital marketing, digital sales, use of online platforms, for example, in order to reduce risk and seize on these new opportunities, recognizing that there are still, very significant challenges out there. So we hope to mitigate those challenges. We hope to enable you to take advantage of those opportunities in the course of this project. And we very much look forward to working with you. And I personally looking forward to the workshop over the next few days. Thank you very much. And I'll hand back to you, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Simon, and thank you, Angelica, for those welcome remarks. And as mentioned by Simon, we're very thankful for all of you for joining today's session. Now we're actually starting the next session talking about the state of the industry. And as mentioned by Simon, we have Mrs. Tara Mulhare. I believe that many of you know her. She's been working with SheTrades for now I think since 2017, we worked for the industry with more than 1,500 companies from over 90 countries. And for those who don't know Tara, she has become a leader in the market, known for successfully developing and launching emerging companies. She has over 20 years of experience in the fashion industry in various capacities, such as buyer, marketing, sales, e-commerce, and retail, startup, manufacturing, and distribution. So the whole package. Tara has worked with all avenues of the fashion landscape for global companies such as Bergdorf Goodman, Barney's New York, and Avesta in South Korea. In addition, through her ongoing and work with different UN organizations, as mentioned, she reached over 1,500 emerging and established companies from 19 countries. So we're very thankful to have Tara and all her expertise for this program, as well as other experts that will be speaking today and tomorrow. Tara, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Wendy, for that lovely introduction. Really excited for us to begin. A real big thank you to GIZ and to the SheTrades team, really arranging all of this. We're really, really excited. We really have an action-packed 2 full days. I'm not gonna lie, it's going to be a lot. Everything is being recorded, so you will be able to go back. It's a real taste of what this program is going to be focusing on. So we're really, really lucky. After I finish, we have 2 wonderful guests, Agatha and Robbie, of Rand Studios. They're real experts on social media. And you're gonna say, no, I know social media. No, you don't, until you listen to them. You'll walk away going, wow, that was really, really insights that I wasn't aware of. Then we'll have Aidan O'Neill, who is an amazing photographer and videographer that has worked with Net-a-Porter. He has shot for Vogue, Elle, many different brands, as well as traveling the world, teaching people how to use your phone to do campaigns, what you need to do, what are the key things that you need to be paying attention to right now in this really quickly evolving digital market. Then we're really lucky to have Britta Duncan. Britta Duncan is an international buying expert. She's currently in market right now, which is the spring 2022 market, and also dealing with a lot of holiday last minute buys from buyers. She sells to Net-a-Porter as well, Liberty, Neiman Marcus, Lane Crawford in Hong Kong. She really knows the international market and providing some amazing insights for us today. So this program is really focused on giving you the most up-to-date current information from top industry experts that know not only the fashion markets, they know what it's like to conduct business in a lot of the areas that we work in. We understand what it's like to have internet issues. We understand what it's like to have banking issues. We also know, like Simon was saying, the supply chain right now internationally in every single sector is broken, particularly in the textile, apparel, and non-apparel categories. It is a disaster, but it's a huge opportunity. We're seeing amazing things coming out of Lebanon, where circular economies now are being reinstated. We're seeing a lot of cool things happening in the industry. We want to make sure that we are bringing you up-to-date information every single week in this program. We'll be having a lot of webinars that will be open for all of the different countries of the program, as well as we're opening to SheTrades Global Dubai participants as well. We're going to be having a lot of in-country workshops, a blend of in-person and online workshops as well. And then we'll be doing a mentoring program and B2B opportunities. So it is quite an intense, amazing program. We also will be having Yvonne Watson. I forgot to mention her. Yvonne Watson is a top professor at Parsons School of Design in New York. Those of you that are familiar with that school, it is quite an expensive, quite an exclusive school. And we're very lucky that she is going to be giving us this information for this program. She's an amazing, amazing teacher as well. So she'll be really focusing on design and sourcing as well. And then we're really focusing on the local aspects of sourcing. So now I'm just going to get right to it because we have a lot to cover today. Really, really excited. So I'm just getting messages, making sure that my sound is okay. Yes, okay. Basically what we're going to be focusing on is just kind of what's happening in the industry. I'm really going to focus right now. I'm going to get the grossness, the bad part out of the way. We're just going to talk about COVID and what has happened to the apparel, non-apparel sector categories, what's happening in the market trends, and then I'm going to show you just a bit about what's happening in technology and fashion. I'm going to be showing you a lot of different examples. So the slides will be going up on the 10X, and then this will be the link for you to go and just basically you click one button and you're able to actually get all the different links that I'm showing you today. I think I don't need to say this, but I'm just going to say it again, right? COVID has been so impactful for every single one of us. I cannot believe, if you told me in March 2020 that we'd still be sitting here how many months later discussing COVID and just the impact that it had and how quickly we all adapted, I really wouldn't have believed you, I have to be honest. It just really was just so fascinating how quickly we all really adapted. And those of us that thought, we were waiting and we're saying, okay, no, maybe we'll not implement all these things, had to quickly realize after 6 months, no, we need to do this. So it is really important though to understand where we are in the industry. A lot of key things have happened that got us here, and it's important that you're aware of that. We're really going to be focusing on buyer and consumer mindsets, so you're aware of that. And it's important that you get what is happening in the industry. This has been very interesting to watch, very stressful, but also very rewarding at the same time for some businesses. The beginning of this basically was very reactionary, right? So beginning of this, just like you were, buyers were very reactionary. In the beginning, they canceled every single order. We saw the horrible things that were happening where big, fast fashion companies were canceling things on the water, not paying their bills. But basically, everyone canceled everything. I was sitting there in market, and all the orders that we had pending didn't come to fruition. So it was quite crazy. So basically, that was the market that we were sitting in, was the autumn-winter 2020 market that would have begun delivering in August, and then all of the orders that were scheduled for that spring market that was coming up basically were canceled. Then this weird thing happened again where, we're having everyone coming out of different lockdowns, some people going back in, some people not. It was chaos in the whole entire supply chain. Well, people were buying, right? So buyers then had all this uncertainty. Then there was this holiday inventory panic that happened last year from August to October. And buyers weren't sure of how much to get. And then they realized, oh my gosh, we need to get stock in. And there was this mad panic, mad outreach of buyers trying to get products. Then Christmas hit, or the holiday season, and December for many people, in January, and we had all these lockdowns again. And then we had this crazy uncertainty. Also as well, remember what I was saying from, we canceled orders, or also as well what happened in the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of buyers actually packed up merchandise in stores and never put it out. So the spring 2021 buying season was a disaster, okay? It was basically open to buy was non-existent, or because they were sitting on so much stock, yet they needed inventory, they needed certain key categories that were trending and that I'll get into, and they didn't have it. So there was, again, all this craziness. Then now through February through July 2021, really it has been, actually now through October, we now basically are still going through these crazy inventory shortages due to, the different regions opening and closing. A lot of, the RMG sectors, a lot of the different production couldn't happen. People moved their businesses out of China. They moved into different regions. Those regions then were impacted. So it was a big mess. Then we're also experiencing internationally staff shortages. So people can't get staff, stores can't get staff to unpack, pack boxes. And then we're seeing something now with inflation. So inflation is really causing lots of problems, and then logistics nightmares, right? Because, in the summer, I don't know if everyone remembered the Suez Canal, the incident where it was closed for a couple of days. Then we saw for the first time ever the largest port in China shut down. And you're seeing, things like in, the US, the the LAX port, the Los Angeles port. Normally on a bad day, you'd have one container ship waiting outside to get in. That was considered a bad day. They had 37 the other day. So 37 ships waiting to get in. So it's really a disaster. And there is just, there's a lot of, the ways of doing businesses, the way that these companies and retailers and brands were really trying to, do business, they're really stuck. And because they are stuck in these old ways of doing things, there's so many layers of management, and we'll teach you that. We'll talk about that tomorrow a bit more in my pricing section of all the decision makers. It's really hard for these companies to quickly react. So I just really want to again explain, like, I know I'm being dramatic with this broken chain, but the global supply chain right now is really, really a problem. And you're seeing basically, companies like Nordstrom's in the States, Harrods in London, all over the European, Asian markets are begging for merchandise, pushing their Christmas deliveries early and saying, whatever you have, bring it to us, get it into us now. Because they realize now that they don't have enough stock. They're advising parents for holiday, if you're going to buy your Christmas presents and toys, there will be a shortage, right? And there's even things like our mobile phones. And, car shortages in cars rely on a certain type of computer chip. Well, we're having now supply issues with that because they cannot get the computer chips fast enough. So it is very interesting how all of this is still unraveling and is not going away. Even now, we're still social distancing in a lot of our key manufacturing facilities as well, too. So it's a huge, huge opportunity because the consumer is still buying, right? That is the thing that I find so interesting. We're all in our minds so talking about supply chain and we're focusing on our day-to-day issues, but the consumer really doesn't care, and the consumer really wants their product, right? And there is a demand that is there, and we need to really focus on what they need. Well, it's very interesting this past, 18 months, 19 months, really these key trends that have come out of, COVID. Some very positive things have come out of COVID. As it's a shame that it took us, a horrible pandemic to get here, but some amazing trends are happening that are really great for brands that are smaller and medium. And it's really interesting how the consumer now is much more educated than they've ever been before. Ethical standards and social impact is something that's not going away. It really came to a head, like I said, in the beginning of the pandemic, hearing these horrible stories of what our industry was doing to their employees, right? Not paying employees, seeing what was happening with, that they relied on this income so much. And, basically there was no ethical standards or, consideration of the social impact that brands and businesses had in our industry. Consumers really said, listen, I want my money now. When I spend it, I want it to go for something. I really want to make sure that, I'm contributing to society. And we were seeing it even in the fast fashion categories as well. Usually that consumer wouldn't be as concerned. We saw that then Primark and other companies had to now start implementing and showing that they weren't these bad people. But the brands that were able to really, harness this did very well and continue to do very well during this, uncertain times. Sustainability is not going away. Okay, you're going, yeah, Tara, no, but no. And it's not just, you can say, I'm a sustainable brand and I'm sustainable. No, the consumer actually knows every single term. It was very fascinating. I was in one of the first markets right after COVID hit, and it was fascinating to see basically how then buyers were asking the questions that the consumers were asking, right? Because there's a direct correlation between the two. Really important on your whole entire supply chain. What is your impact? You can't just get away with what you used to get away with before. And, it's really important that as you're moving along with your different evolution of your brand, as you're designing, as you're doing your product assortment, really now you need to think about that. And we're going to be covering now different ways that you can be sustainable. It's just so important. And you're really going to see that the consumer, is moving so quickly with that. I don't need to tell you this. I think we all basically know how important social media is in our lives, hence the Facebook, all of their apps crashing yesterday and the worldwide panic that took place. We really realized that social media was the main place to discover a brand. Instagram was a huge sales driver during this. We're seeing now Instagram is going through an interesting time right at this moment, and Agatha and Robbie will cover that more and as we go along in this program. But we are seeing that Instagram really, it was the place to go. We found that the larger brands during COVID, or in the early days of COVID, weren't posting as much. They couldn't figure out how to handle their messaging. Well, this is where basically, businesses, smaller businesses really were able to forge a community and a connection. And this is something that is not going away. Community and connection is something that I think, because we were all home, because we were feeling, really disconnected prior to COVID, prior to COVID, we were very stressed out people, right? With COVID, we're even more stressed out, and we're really, longing to connect with people right now. We were stuck at our homes. A lot of us haven't been able to travel still, and we're really looking to connect with a brand, to be part of a community. The brands that were successful didn't have, thousands and thousands of followers, but they were able to actually, with the group that they had, they were able to, constantly interact with them. They'd have, 20 comments per post, lots of, likes, lots of real interaction. And Agatha and Robbie will get a bit more into that, but it is so important, this community and connection. If you're able to figure this out, you are so successful. And we're really going to be showing you how you do that. Transparency in your supply chain. It does not matter what part of your business, you must be transparent. We really saw, particularly this past market, or this current market, and then the one pre-spring, and then basically the past 3 markets, it's really come to a head with buyers. Why? Because their customer wants it. A buyer is living in fear that if you don't know where your textile came from, oh my goodness, that, the person that produced your textile, if you're not aware of that, could have been, working in poor labor practices, and it's discovered that, God forbid, it goes to the store and then this happens, right? So buyers living in this constant fear. Why? Because it's very important to the consumer. We saw, buyers asking for images of every picture of your supply chain. Why? The customer was looking at that on Instagram. The customer wanted to be part of the supply chain process, wanted to know again that the product that they had was made safely. Basically, I know the process, I'm seeing the impact, I'm able to really have this complete transparency, this complete view into the brand that I'm supporting. Key merchandise categories. It's so funny how all of us became outdoors people. I don't know, no matter where you were in the world, with the amount of even in heat of, at the hottest parts of Africa, people were outdoors, right? So it isn't going away, especially now with the upcoming winter in the Europe and US markets. It's interesting how outdoor is still a category. Outdoor home is really not, going away. And you're saying to me, it's going to be freezing cold, Tara, that makes no sense. But people still have a bit of a fear. There is this, more entertainment that's been happening. And, it is a category to be aware of, that people are really looking to decorate, extend their home. WGSN is a trend forecaster, amazing. You'll hear me discuss them a lot, and I'll bring them up in future webinars. But this is a category that they even said, this is not going away, and pay attention to it. Handbags, I think we all know handbags prior to COVID was quite a very big category. Which I found so interesting was during COVID, it was still a coveted category. And, thinking we're not going anywhere, why are we buying these bags? And luxury bags really were a key category and continue to be a key category. Jewelry is another one that, really people were gravitating towards to, more expensive purchases. They had more disposable income because they weren't spending it on anything. And really, they were looking to spend a bit more, coveted pieces. Heritage is something that we'll really hear us talk about a lot. Things that have meaning, brands that have, that heritage, they've been around, craftsmanship, really, showing value for money as well. Luxury footwear, I found this kind of funny because, you know, in the height of the lockdown, this was a very big category. I was talking to some friends that are working for Bergdorf. So in the beginning of it, I was actually in New York, and I just found that very interesting that that's what they were selling. And evening wear, even when there was that the lockdown was like severe in New York, they were selling dresses and evening wear items. I think people were anticipating that. This past season of spring, summer, dresses were, you couldn't get a dress. It just was unreal, the demand for dresses. And now we're seeing for the spring 22 trends, you know, if any of you are watching the different fashion weeks, Paris is right now, you're seeing lots and lots of dresses and going out clothes, right? So it is interesting that we're really, really, you know, basically, we want to go out, right? We want to be able, you know, we're tired of the, you know, this lockdown wear. But now I'm speaking on the other side of my mouth. It's very interesting how loungewear and activewear continue to be a very strong category. Why? A lot of us just aren't ready. And when we're home, we're a lot more casual than we normally would be. Activewear as well, you know, people are really looking at how can they, you know, take their leggings and then a really nice, you know, cover up or something for, you know, for the phone calls that we're having, you know, going from the gym to home, because a lot of us are still working from home. So it is still a key category. And decorative home, I think we understand, is not going away, right? Decorative home, and decorative home, for those of you that are not aware, it's anything in your home, right? Anything that you have in your home that, yeah, you know, from your stationery to throw pillows to picture frames, wall art, you know, basically we went through the first phase where we all, I myself included, who never was ever home, and then all of a sudden was home a lot and was so sick of the items in our home. Now I am actually looking myself, just like everyone else, going, wow, I actually am now sick of that stuff that I bought. So people are now rebuying. So these are key categories that are not going away. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, what is today's date? Today is the 5th of October, and it is very important that you are aware that everything that I'm saying, the market is evolving so quickly that what a trend is today may not be a trend next week. Also as well, everything that I'm saying here today is good for you to know, but you need to do your own research, and I'll show you where to find that information to make decisions for your own business. You need to really make sure that, you know, just something because it's a trend doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfect for your customer. So it's very important to be aware of that as we're always talking about things. But you have to be also aware your consumer will constantly is evolving, right? Especially over the past, you know, 18, 19 months, they've really evolved, and really we're hearing as well, the majority of customers have changed drastically from who they were before. So it's very important that you pay attention to that. So what's been happening in the wholesale market? Well, basically from, you know, April 2020 through September 2021, the majority of market appointments were virtual. And it's interesting, right? The US market, during the fashion weeks, basically the key market of August and September, the US was not allowing European or international buyers to come in to go to appointments. So the majority of those shows were, and market appointments were virtual. Now, UK and, you know, EU, basically, you know, we're seeing people are there, Americans can travel there. But it is very interesting how these non-US buyers, you know, were not able to travel, and it really did keep this digital trend going. I also want to point out, prior to COVID, right, pre-COVID, majority of retailers had 3-year plans to shift to this types of going digital ordering systems. And I'm going to show you what they are. But the majority of them shifted within 5 months of the first COVID-19 lockdown. So this isn't going away. And why I'm saying that to you is we're going to have a whole webinar on basically, you know, how the market works. But it's how do I say this? It was broken, okay? It was breaking people. We were exhausted prior to COVID. Think about it. If I was a buyer, right, or when I was buying, you know, you would start your spring 22 market or spring market in July at Premium Berlin. You then would go all the way to the end to November, because Dubai would have markets as well. And you basically, that's it. You're traveling every week. And I think people think like, oh, you just like go to fashion shows. No, you're getting off the plane, you're going from market to market. You're trying to run your in-season business while on the road. And it was really not working. And it's very expensive for these teams of people to travel, right? Very, very, very expensive. So this is where, they're really looking at doing this. It's not going back. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. This is not changing. It's not going back. So how did this all work? So basically, this is a New York Now. This is their platform. This is what pretty much everyone was using. So you'd have basically a brand video. You would, learn about the different brand, their different categories. I'd know the information, the product categories. I could see the products, and then I could download their different price sheets. And it's quite similar. This is what everyone was doing. Prior to COVID, they would have these platforms, and we would go and research we would go and research the businesses prior to going to the trade show. Now, this is it. This is what happens. Buyers automatically do this. And you're seeing it's the same components. You see we'll be using 10X or SheTrades Global. You can see the same components. You have your brand video. You'll be able to click here. This will have your price sheets. You will have your social, and then you can have a picture of yourself, and then there'll be a bit more information about your business. So you're seeing this is pretty much, how this all works. New Order is an amazing platform. New Order prior to COVID was really working with different retailers such as Saks, Harrods, really trying to streamline the different processes. We'll talk about how the buying appointment works tomorrow, but basically everybody was using a different system, and New Order about 10 years ago came up with the idea of saying, wait, we need to streamline this. Well, they during COVID took it to the next level. Pretty much most businesses or most retailers pivoted to this platform. They worked with the trade shows, they created this. And the best part is you see her turning. All of this can be shot with your phone. Your phone can do all of this, and Aiden will show you how it can be done. But it's interesting how it's the same components. So a lot of people, again, feel a bit overwhelmed by things. But then when we dial it down and really go through the different steps, you see that it's the same information, very easy to do, and much easier than a fashion show. I highly, highly suggest, I need to say I don't own stock in New Order. I have no connection to them. I wish I did, but I think it's a really great platform. It's very expensive, but they offer a lot of free advice, and there's lots of components that you could take for your own business. I highly suggest listening to this webinar. It's buyers from Nordstrom, Saks, and Bloomingdale's, 3 key retailers in the US. But the best part is what they're saying. Every other international buyer is saying the same thing, right? Net-a-Porter would be saying the same thing. Lane Crawford's buyers would be saying the same thing. And Bloomingdale's in Dubai would be saying the same thing. Altair Group is the one that buys for Bloomingdale's in Dubai. But really, really highly recommend, because you're listening exactly what bothers them, what works for them. So everything we're telling you here, even in more detail, because we can't get into every single moment, but I highly suggest. Brand Boom is another platform. It's free. And Britta, actually, who will be speaking later on, we were having a discussion about this. She was on a platform called Jor, and I'll mention that too as well. They have Jor Lite, which is free, and then Jor with paid, which is very similar to New Order. She actually gravitated a lot towards Brand Boom with her businesses, a couple of her brands that she works with. And she said it's actually been quite successful. So it is interesting how all of these things moved so quickly, right? It's amazing how fast this all, again, just kept moving. So what does that mean? What are we seeing now? I'm saying all these different things about the supply chain. I'm saying, all these different platforms. We are returning to some normalcy, okay? The majority of pre-fall orders arrived to stores during their regular schedule. Pre-fall normally would arrive in June, July, and August. Really exciting to see that a lot of the stores shifted, and a lot of, back to what we were used to. also as well, I think we all noticed a lot of the fall campaigns are quite strong. You know, we're seeing major adverts in magazines, online. We're seeing flashy fashion shows, right? I mean, it's been really exciting to see what's happening in Paris. Yes, most of it's outdoors, but they're intense, right? They're real shows again. It's all about the glitz and the glam. And that's exciting to see for the industry, that we're getting back to some normalcy. And it's very interesting, those of you that have heard me speak before, you know, we were really discussing the past 2 years about, or 18 months, how a lot of the retailers were pushing, especially during COVID, they thought they could do this, that they wanted to do see now or buy now and deliver now. Well, those of us in wholesale, it's impossible for us to do that, right? That's really, really hard on us. There's no way, especially with these broken supply chains. It's amazing that how quickly now we've gone back to a normal buying calendar. And I don't think we'll be able, gosh, in the next 5 years to really do what these retailers wanted us to do. It's very hard, but I'll get into some other trends that are happening too as well. Again, the market calendar has returned. Market appointments, though, are still happening digitally, and it'll be very interesting to speak to Britta this afternoon, because she's really going to tell us how much has been online for her this season, how much has been in person from her markets, and you know what has been happening, because she's literally in it right now. So how did this work? So I'm showing you these different components, I'm telling you all those different things, but really just what were the steps? How did it all really, you know, occur, and what's happening? So basically, a buyer is going to discover you on one of those platforms, the New York Now, 10X. They view your lookbook or line sheet, and then guess what? Very fascinating. They go to your Instagram page. In our industry, the majority of the buyers prior to COVID were asking for your Instagram page, but during COVID, they really, really, really utilized your Instagram page. Why? Remember I was telling you they wanted all those different key trends, the consumers looking for community, looking for transparency, looking for a really good story, impact statement. Your Instagram page was a really great way to define that. So it wasn't just learning about your product, it was learning about your company. Do you fit what I'm looking for? They then would go to your brand's website. They then would view the collection in person or on an online meeting, and they'd request a Zoom market appointment, and then the buyer would watch. And that was the frustrating part. So the Zoom appointment would look something like this. This is, I stole this from Stanley Korshak. They are a retailer in the US, but this is exactly what it was, an appointment was looking like and still looking like. Basically, they have their open a buy here. You can see my cursor, no, it's not showing. The open a buy here. The person is presenting, and this was happening. Britta has been doing this. She can tell you about this, what she's had to do. And this is what would really happen. The watching part would be, then they go to your Instagram page and really, really watch you and see, you know, basically, are you a good fit for the company? You know, we, Simon referenced a project, SheTrades Commonwealth. We were working with a lot of businesses during that time. And we had things like the White Company, or companies like the White Company, basically make buys off of someone's Instagram, because they really believed in their ethos and really believed, you know, watching and could see in full transparency. We had, you know, someone get into Nordstrom because of that. They really watched the company, and they really saw that basically, wow, this company really is true to what they're saying. They're consistent every day with what their messaging is. And I really feel comfortable. I can see the transparency. I've connected with them. So these are the main B2B platforms. You'll get these slides, and I just listed a couple of the different platforms, but it is just very interesting how this worked. Now, the types of buys that we are seeing are very frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. This season, oh gosh, guys, it's been really tough. I'm not gonna lie, dealing with all these different types of buys that are happening, the demands of the buyers, and you're trying to just, you know, kind of keep your head above water, and it is kind of frustrating to deal with these different types, but when you're aware of them and you're prepared for them, they're not as stressful. So we heard, you know, or we saw a lot of capsule type collections. There's two cases for that, where it would basically be, or capsule collections are small little buys to really either test, but it's more so just a refresh. It's to show that you're working with emerging brands. A lot of the different buyers were afraid. Sadly, you know, sometimes newer brands, buyers are very afraid to work with. Why? Because we could make mistakes, right? So they don't want to make a huge buy, but they need to show, remember I was saying the consumer wants to see that you're working with emerging brands, giving chances, and really wanting to, connect with these smaller businesses and tap into their communities. So they do these capsule collections. Well, as a brand, it's kind of a real pain because they're very small. Then we are seeing a lot of test buys. So basically, because I can't see your product in person, no offense, I'm not going to write a $100,000 order, right? I don't know you. I've never seen your product. Yes, I've fallen in love. I feel a transparency with you, but I'm still not ready to put my neck on the line, as we say in the buying world. I need to do a test. I need to make sure that you can ship it to me, imports, you understand that whole entire process. And they would do these test buys of $5,000 to $10,000 sometimes, even less. And you're sitting there going, all of this work for this tiny little buy. But if the brand delivered, they would quickly reorder, right? So that is something that, it was a pain you're trying to maneuver and all the demands that they're asking for this little buy. But if this all goes well, then you get a quick reorder, right? So the same thing happened with the white company with people that we were working with. Another Japanese retailer, the same thing happened. So this is, they quickly reordered, so it was worth it. Immediates are something that, again, that we're really now seeing a lot. Remember, I was saying the broken supply chain. Because of all these closings and just, the mess of the supply chain, immediates. Basically, our immediate is you can get it to me right away within 4 to 6 weeks. And it is quite tough to do that, right, with the supply chain problems that are happening. But if you can go around that, if you're able to figure out your logistics, you're really able to, take control of your supply chain, every aspect of it, you really can and do quite well because, like I said, buyers are desperate for product. Then you have, during all of this, the normal buying cycle and normal order quantities. So then you have a buyer coming to you and saying, I'm hoping that, I would like to buy now, 1 container of goods. And you're going, whew, that's great. But then I also need to do all these test buys and the immediates, or you're having someone that's wanting products 6 months at, smaller orders, right? So it is very interesting how, during COVID, all of this is just kind of, going on and you're trying to maneuver this. But if you're aware of it, if you're able to balance it, you can be quite successful. Immediates were something that we were seeing prior to COVID. But again, now, due to everything that's happening, it's really, really now come to, a big escalation of demand. So some key buyer questions and requests you need to be aware of. You need to, don't tell me you're sustainable. I don't want to hear it. How are you sustainable? And you're going, what, Tara, what do you mean? We were being asked for environmental verification, and it's expensive, right? The majority of us cannot provide these kind of, sustainable GOTS and things like that. But if you're able to really articulate and demonstrate transparency and why you're sustainable, do you use end-run fabrics? What ethical standards do you use for your workers? Through the supply chain, are you being very careful if you're working with cotton, different farmers? Are you making sure that they're not using pesticides that are harmful to the farmers? Your dyeing processes. Leather was a really tricky one over this time frame. We're seeing a lot of different leather people learning and trying to adapt to these new sustainable demands of the industry. So you have to be very careful. You cannot just say you're sustainable. You will be asked detailed questions about that, and you need to be prepared. Impact statement and touch points of brand support is very important. And you're going, what? No, you need to actually articulate what is your impact. If I buy from you, how many different people in the community are affected by this order? And people that can articulate that and can explain and demonstrate all the touch points of an order. We have one brand that we were working with, and she was able to say 163 people, touch points, were affected by this order, from delivery people, from food vendors outside her workplace. She would be able to bring in additional contract workers, and buyers love that. They love that kind of information. Why? Back to the consumer trend. They then can articulate that to their customer. Here's the pain part. Even for these tiny buys, buyers required images of the whole entire supply chain. You know, it is just, I was just talking to someone from Ghana actually, and I was just asking, was she still going through it for her test buys? And she said it's actually even worse now. Everybody wants that information, which is good, right? Because she's able to quickly give that information. But, you know, it is a lot if you're not aware of that. So we'll really make sure that you're prepared for that. You know, as you're going to SheTrades Global, as you are going into the market, the international market, we want to make sure that you know what kind of information. I'm going to make Britta tell her story of her light box, but basically during COVID, a lot of the businesses required high res and shot on a white background product shots. So Aiden is going to become your best friend because this is due to shutdowns, lack of their organization's preparedness for e-com, and they needed to quickly sell the items, right? So this will really help you, you know, with this whole immediate thing. My friend is a big buyer for a company here that would be the equivalent of Marks and Spencer's. And she's saying that there's such a backlog, you know, getting her items shot at for e-commerce that she now will only work with businesses that are ready, that fit her product guidelines, product shooting guidelines. And basically those are the brands that she's looking to bring on because she just knows she'll never be able to get all of her information or all of the products up onto online. Yeah. So what has happened for the markets that have really fully opened? What I think is so amazing from the direct-to-consumer part of it, you know, what we were taught in the early days and what worked for us in the early days, that, you know, basically the consumer and doing events and trunk shows and exclusives and really making sure that we knew our customer and really making sure that community and that connection, those basics are back. We as a industry became very broken. We became a little bit too big for our britches, as they say. We were so grow, open these big stores. We lost touch with our customer and the customer knew it, right? Why so quickly did the consumer leave all these big retailers and go directly to the brands? Because they didn't feel that the retailer had their backs, right? And what we're seeing now is with, you know, COVID or people coming out of it, people now really you know, it was too much before, and now everybody wants to get out there and be seen, right? So stores are hosting all these little mini events, and they're really now trying to get the right people, the right influencers, the right, you know, groups to come to their little events. So, you know, we saw things, you know, back in July. My Teresa is a German retailer or German online retailer that was recently purchased by Neiman Marcus. They basically went to the Hamptons. They made sure that they had Naomi Watts and Gucci Westerman, who is a cosmetic niche brand. And that would have been basically, they had a dinner and then they had the different people there. Derek Glassberg, I'm not sure if you're aware of him. He is the head of YouTube beauty and fashion. He also is a contributor to Wall Street Journal, formerly is of CNN Style. And, you know, you had Drew Barrymore. And then basically then this lived on, right? Everyone kept posting this content. But we're seeing it in smaller as well. We're seeing, you know, smaller retailers doing the same thing and knowing their community, inviting the right people to come to these events. And that way then people could take pictures, that content is being shared. And, you know, their consumer is feeling again like they're at this event. We're now seeing as well, you know, really basically also the omni-channel part of this. So pop-ups are everywhere. Pop-ups are back, bigger than, you know, bigger and better than ever. We're seeing Dior now only doing a pop-up shop model. You know, they just went on Madison Avenue for a pop-up and really testing it out. And it's very interesting how, you know, you need this omni-channel marketing, and you know, you'll hear Agatha and Robbie talk a lot about this. You need streamlined messaging across all your platforms. So when I'm on my Teresa's Instagram, I'm seeing the same type of content on their website. Every part that I look on my Teresa or any brand that's successful, it's the same content, same messaging. A lot of the pop-ups that are happening too, there is an online shopping element to it that I can shop in store and it's delivered. I don't even have to take it with me. A lot of places are doing that too as well. So interesting things are really happening, you know, and it's exciting just to watch this. Something you're going to hear tomorrow, we have amazing guest speakers, two amazing jewelry designers from Lebanon, and they really are talking, they're gonna really talk about this, how you have to cater to your VIP customers. It is so important. I think we forgot a lot about that. And all of us could be guilty on this call about this, right? Because we're so into our day-to-day we sometimes would forget we have a customer there that needs to be catered to. We need to constantly make her happy. And we have these special customers. Well, Net-a-Porter does phenomenal business. Oops, I jumped ahead. Sorry. Does phenomenal business from their VIPs. They call them extremely important people. And this is something that you need to be thinking of. Everything that I'm saying about what's happening, you can do this very easily yourself. And I find it interesting because Net-a-Porter is online, right? They give product exclusives to their EIP program. They're able to shop sale earlier. They get all these incentives. And it's interesting, Britta does a lot with the EIP program, and I'll ask her about that later this afternoon. But for the one brand that she has there, one of the brands, she does 67% of her business from the EIP program. 67% of her business with Net-a-Porter is with the EIP program. And she does quite well with them. So imagine that if you're able to really tap into that and really understand and deliver, you really are able to, forge this amazing community, grow your business, and have constant return business as well. So all these great things are happening. And it's just so interesting, though, with everything that going on, right? With all these international retailers, all the success that they're having with their programs. What I find very interesting is the consumer is continuing to prefer to go to the brand, to you directly, okay? Due to everything that's happening, the impact statement, the community, they really prefer to go to you. Now you're going, oh, that's great. Especially tomorrow when you hear I talk about the margins of our business and the pricing and just just how that all works. You're going to go, I'd rather have all of that margin. But it's really hard right now with logistics, right? It's very expensive, right? So if I'm going to be shipping from, let's say, Lagos, Nigeria to Accra, Ghana, right? Neighboring places, it still can be quite expensive to do that, right? So you need the blend of business to business and direct to consumer. And you're going to hear us talk about those two different end games, but you can have the same one message to do it. And we'll talk to you about how you actually achieve that, because you do need to have both. It is quite expensive to test new markets on your own, shipping directly and setting up warehouses and all these different things. And we'll really show you how you can have the blend between the two. But it is just so fascinating to me how this way that the consumer is just so frustrated with retailers that they really, really want to go to the brands. So I know some of us were talking before, I don't want to pick on anyone, but we were, people were saying technology, and a lot of people I deal with in fashion don't like technology. Guess what? I'm sorry. You have to like it. You have to like it. It really, there is no difference. That's it. We are hand in hand. And it is so fascinating to me because for some reason people don't understand fashion, and we're kind of not known as innovators and particularly in the space of technology. What I find so fascinating is just the advancements, how fast our industry has surpassed any other industry. And what I think is the coolest thing that I've been witnessing over, 19 months, what have you, is you see out of the quote unquote emerging markets, the most advancements internationally. What has come out of the 54 countries of Africa is phenomenal to see. The Middle East, to watch what has happened in the industry, the developments that have happened. It's just amazing to see, what has happened. So what has happened? Because it is quite fascinating to see. We started here I posted this in May, but this really happened in the beginning of May, end of April. Hanifa is a brand from Congo. And basically, this was revolutionary. I don't know if any of you saw this, but we were all talking in the fashion circles like, wow, how did they do this? This is the new way of doing business. Whoa, like you don't even need a model. And then JW Anderson, he did for his fashion, week, he couldn't, when was this? That was like the summer, June, I think it was, for men's. He basically had that you would have your phone buyers could actually be in their kitchen. They could look and then say, okay, turn this way, whatever. And I could actually see like the model was in my living room with me. Bruce Pass from Burdorf Goodman, he posted about this. Everyone was blown away, okay? Now, let's look at April 2021, okay? So quickly, years time, Vogue Italia, it's just I love them so much for their innovation. They're always ahead of the curve, and I'm hoping they keep it now with their management changes, but they decided to partner with Institute Digital Fashion. And I don't know if this creeps you out, if you've seen this. This is not a real model, okay? This is a digital, model. So, and the best part is, how do I say this now? They didn't want to creep people out, so they made her look less real. They could have made her look more real. And this was mind-blowing to many people. And just to see how quickly as an industry we're accepting what is happening. And the process, I mean, they go through this different process to create this. And it is amazing just to see where we are with everything. And then you have companies like Balamab in Accra, Ghana. They're an innovator of basically 3D prototyping and sampling. Well, what does that mean? Well, basically 3D prototyping is, you do all of this on a computer, and that way then you don't have to spend so much money in sampling. So this is all fake, right? This is not fake, but 3D generated. And it's just so cool to see how quickly now we've evolved. Nam Labs in Kenya did an amazing collaboration. I think even Sunny Delat was involved. He will be speaking as well tomorrow, an amazing person, amazing innovator in the creative space, just great. You'll really learn a lot from him too. And he knows textiles inside and out. Really cool how you take this and you turn it into a digital representation. It's really been helping those of you that are not familiar with this. It really helps you save in the tech pack process. When we talk about production, it can be about 4 rounds of samples sometimes. Imagine now you can do all of your work like this. The cost savings, not having to have things go back and forth. You're learning. You can see it on different body types. It's usually very expensive to use different model types, right? You're using a lot more fabric if you're, going to larger sizes. So it is really, been a game changer for people. My last one, again, another company to pay attention to, really seeing how this process works. I would suggest as well checking out these links. This is Caddy Fashion. I really like them a lot. I think they're an innovator. They're based in Iași in Romania. Really cool things that they're doing. And they do production for Liberty. I'm forgetting all the different names, sorry. But they now are offering this as a service. So it is showing you, what's happening in the space. It is very interesting too, how fast we are moving with everything. I don't want to overwhelm everyone. I'm not saying go out and spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on different things. We're going to show you the free tools that you can be doing. We're going to walk you through this. We're going to see what makes sense for your brand. But I thought this is really cool. Don't make me try to say the sneaker company's name. I'm not as cool. But I love what this company was doing. It was quite a stir. So they have this jacket, right? And everyone's been trying to figure out what to do with AR. They basically had on their app, no one has done this. I don't know if any of you saw during like lockdown, like IKEA, you can, try out for a throw pillow on your couch. Zara was having different prior to COVID. You could go into their store and they had a hotspot where you'd put the phone on a certain mannequin and the mannequin come to life on your phone. No one has been able to do this type of technology really, besides a Warby Parker that had like try on glasses, very stagnant, right? You can try on glasses or a lipstick, but this was, you could wear this. So this gentleman doesn't have on the coat or the jacket. It's actually through the app. So you could move and it would stay on you. This is revolutionary. It's really the way that we're going. We're seeing a lot now more conversations, and we're seeing a lot more technology companies really now, going in this direction of how do we eliminate the amount of returns? How do we allow consumers to try things on? How do we now use these tools that are out there? Another really cool thing that happened during COVID, basically Gucci partnered with Snapchat that you could try on shoes. Now they've had a bit more advancement since then. The cool part about this is this coding is on Snapchat's website for free. So this programming is free. So it is pretty amazing how widely distributed this is going to become, how we're moving so quickly. And, you know, again, Snap did something with Mac. So that's not her wearing the cosmetics. That's basically her trying on a filter of cosmetics. And again, it's moving so fast. So now on their website, you can have that technology, you can try makeup on, and it is moving. The cool part is platforms like Shopify give free or very low cost type of modeling that you can use. And we're going to show you all of this. We're really going to walk you through these different types of platforms. So it is really amazing what has been happening in the industry, and just, you know, we're advancing so quickly. Uh-oh, do we have sound still? Yes. But basically, this is where, you know, we really are as an industry, and so much has changed, and it's just moving so quickly. Is everything okay with this sound? Yes, okay, sorry, I'm just seeing different comments. So I don't want to, again, overwhelm you. I don't want to, you know, say that you need to go and do all these different things, but it is pretty amazing how, you know, we can really, you know, use these tools that are free. And it's just so great to have watched how we as an industry for the past year have really, you know, moved, and watching everyone move so quickly through this has just been phenomenal. It's really been such an impressive thing to watch as we evolve. Before, I just want to see if there's any questions. Sorry, I'm trying to maneuver between two screens, so just double checking. Okay, just double checking. Sorry for the break. Yes. Okay. So Sophie, they were just saying from South Africa, has had so many lockdowns. Having a fashion and textile business has been a big mess, and that's what we're really going to help you maneuver through, because it is very frustrating. And we really went through, as Simon was talking before, we went through it as a group, really going through and navigating and making sure that everyone was aware and taking advantage of all the different opportunities. And it is interesting to see, you know, how, like, it will really help you really, you know, step by step. What do you do? How do you do a lot of things from home? And a lot of these lockdowns are going to come back, right? We know that, right? A lot of the different ways, sadly, of just waves that are happening. Still, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, right? And that's why we really want to make sure that we're giving everyone, you know, the most current information. I'm just looking at it as well. Sorry, I'm not missing anything. Put any questions that are here, because I really want to listen to you and pay attention. And I also just want to double check, because we have our next guest. I'm notorious. You will learn that I can talk for probably everyone. Okay, perfect. But it is really, again, what the program is going to be about. And just before I get into anything else, sorry, I just saw another question here. Sorry. Okay, perfect. But we're really going to be working on this. So the next session that we'll be having will be a session after the workshops. We'll get into a weekly webinar series. I'll really get into the deep dive into this. So our next session that will be with me, we're actually gonna post that, will be the week of, I think, the 19th. And I'm really gonna talk about determining your market segment, understanding the overall industry, how the different fashion markets work. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm sorry, my neighbor's alarm keeps going off. Oh goodness, so sorry if you can hear that, my apologies. We'll be doing determining your market segment. Then I'm really gonna get into understanding your consumer trends are very important as well. I think it's important that all of you are aware, because things have been moving so quickly. And your consumer is really, how do I say, you know, has been through it a lot. And you've been through it, but so has your customer. So it's making sure that you're addressing all of her needs, making sure that you're really able, and we'll give you that current information. We're going to focus, the design series too, as well, is very important. Understanding trends is very important, looking for design inspiration from where you are, but not just, oh, the tree. No, how do you take that tree that moves you and turn it into a print? How do you decipher? Because a lot of people, what I find is, let's say black and white is a big trend for the season. And then I'll see people that their customer actually really likes print, but then they go to black and white and they alienate their customer. So it's really understanding those trends and the relation to your customer. How do you do assortment planning? We're going to really get into basically, cost savings. I find a lot of people will order, 25 different types of materials when only they should really order 5. So, you see in jewelry, people over design their collection. You'll see in textiles and apparel, they have way too many color options, or they don't know how to segregate and put the different collections together. We're really going to show you again then how you shoot those different collections. And then from the omni-channel point of view, we have Britta and we have Agatha really delivering and explaining that, really getting into those different channels. Is there anything else? No, okay. I actually never been done already. That's funny, but let me just double check that I went through everything. I want to remind, just double check here. Logistics. Oh yeah, perfect. This is something that is very, very important. I just want to go back to, we're really going to be focusing on your direct to consumer and business to business channels. It's really important that you understand that you will need this. And we're really going to focus a lot on that, because it is the major issue is D2C is quite costly in the initial stages while building traction in the market. And we're going to really show you those steps as well. I just want to go through a couple of things here that are important where I get this information. I always tell everyone every Friday, or at least once a week, you need to basically spend time, or it's every Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. You need to basically spend time learning your industry and paying attention. I highly, highly suggest paying attention to these different industry news related websites. Some of them have paid subscriptions, but the free part of it can give you a lot of good information. I'm obsessed with WGSN's white papers. They're for free. Normally to get WGSN information, it's about $20,000 a year. They have amazing free white papers that they put out, and they're very, very useful. You may not get the full details, but you actually understand what to pay attention for, trends that are happening. They do a great job on their Instagram as well. On, I think it's Fridays they do it. They do different color presentations. They do great stories. They're a really amazing team. And I have to say, they've really figured out their niche when it comes to trend forecasting. They actually do an amazing job of breaking down all the different markets and micro trends and things that are happening in technology and the digital side, and really showing you what you need to know, what you should be paying attention to, key trends, especially the younger generation that is coming, growing. Their needs are so different, right? And we need to start paying attention to it. And we will talk about that in our consumer focused session, but it's good to pay attention to WGS and to break it down and what do you need to pay attention to, because it moves so quickly, right? And we are going to be seeing now, there's some backlash now against Instagram for younger people. That's really going to directly affect a lot of our businesses as we go forward. So it's important that you're constantly aware of that, right? Imagine then you only took what I told you today and you weren't paying attention and you only were moving on to Instagram and then things changed, right? So really make sure you pay attention. Sourcing Journal is, during this horrible supply chain situation, I highly suggest all of you read as much as you can on there. Things are moving so fast with the different types of issues that we're having with all the different lockdowns and things. So, and just the supply chain and just, it will really help you navigate all of that. This is where the trade show and calendar listings are. You'll have these slides, very, very important. And then I just want to really suggest key areas for you to focus on and be really looking at after you leave these 2 days. Really start thinking about your supply chain, logistics, branding. What is your brand, your customers? You're really going to focus on photography and videography, tools to develop your marketing, and Instagram and other relevant social media. Like some markets, Facebook is everything, right? And Facebook Shops is everything. And then other markets, Telegram is everything, right? So, or WhatsApp for Business is very important for many people. So it's really making sure that you're not overwhelming yourself trying to be on too many different platforms, which Agatha and Robbie will be talking about. But it's really making sure that you're targeting your customer, you're using one platform that really works for you, or just a couple or two, and not really getting bogged down with everything. Okay, oh, perfect. I was gonna say email us, but we all saw that. So I just also, before we bring on our next guest, I just think it's really important that everyone is aware of, how do I say this? The opportunity that is there. And that's something that Britta will probably really talk a lot about. If you're able to control your supply chain, really look at a circular economy, what can you do locally and not have to rely on other people? I know working with artisans, I know what it's like. It can be very stressful sometimes. I know sourcing is one of the #1 stresses that we all have. But if you really take that time and look at that and figure that out, you're able to really go around these big brands, because none of these retailers have figured it out. You take someone like Neiman Marcus, it's internationally recognized, right? You would think someone like a Neiman Marcus would be the Harrods in the US, basically. And they spent, was it in 2018, they spent $2.5 million on a computer system that they never were fully able to roll out to every door. You would be talking to them and they couldn't tell you what they had in stores and what they had online. A buyer wouldn't know. That company is Neiman Marcus, that has millions and millions of dollars, right? That they could be, fixing their problems. They still can't figure it out. They're putting a brand new computer system in, and they just were hacked by an online hacker that stole all of the data of their consumer base. So I don't mean to laugh at them. I don't mean it like that, but think about that. You can go around all of that. The customer wants you to be there, right? The customer wants to directly connect to you. And now you really can go around that yourself. I'm really going to show you that. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is all these tools that we're showing you are free, basically free. It's your time, but time really then can result to money, right? So you really can, if you put the time in and you apply all these different things, and you really, for the next, how many weeks that we're doing this prior to SheTrades Global, you really can change your business quite quickly. And it's going to become part of you. What I find is a lot of people in the beginning can feel like, she's saying all this. This is crazy. I'm just trying. I'm in South Africa. I'm just trying to get every day, through my day. But no, I'm telling you, you can do this, and it's going to become part of your second nature, really figuring this out. Now, it is a little bit harder in the beginning, particularly working with artisans, particularly working with the supply chains that we have in country, learning our new supply chains, really reaching out to people, really networking and forming, on the walls here now, writing and say, hey, I'm in Mauritius, I need a zipper. Who's got zipper contacts, right? Really building that network. It takes a little bit longer, but in the end, you really then will be driving and moving in a different way than you did before, and much more successful, and can deliver to international buyers much faster, and to the consumer much faster than any retailer and any big brand, because they're so broken right now. We are broken as an industry, but not as much as we think. It's the big guys that are broken, right? They can't figure this out because there's so many layers of management. You can go in right now. That market share is sitting there for the taking, right? But you need to be able to speak their game, right? You need to be able to know the margins. You need to be able to know what to say in a buying appointment. You need to have all those key components right? Because if you don't have those key components, the buyer's going to annoy you because you get one shot. And I'll talk a lot about that tomorrow, what happens in the buying appointment with the pricing structures, but I'm really focusing not just on pricing, but how that all works. And it'd be really good for you to listen to Britta this afternoon, because she's just like, this week, she's in market, like she's meeting with buyers in person. Like I haven't done that in ages. So I'm doing everything online. She's getting to go in person and speak. So really excited about all of that. The team that's on there, I'm just want to making sure I don't see questions, but I could be wrong, because Mira, are you there? Or Krupa? Or Kadiz? Just to check.
Yes.
So
Hi, Tara. I don't see any questions either.
Okay, perfect. I know our next speaker is due. I don't know, are they online? If not, I'll keep going, but I don't want to. Sorry, you know what it is?
No one is online yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, perfect. Well, then I will just keep going for the next couple minutes until they log on. But please ask questions, everyone. And also as well, anything that you're looking to have covered as well, I think will be really, really important. You know, this is a very unusual time for all of us. And this is your chance now to really be with other people that are going through the same thing. You know, it's interesting, when we were working together, we had an amazing group of brands, designers, and we had a really good family and our last project. And I'm really excited that we can do this again as a group, because we all need each other. And it is really, especially as an entrepreneur, you just feel sometimes a bit alone, right? And this is where you really need your network around you. And I find that a lot of people think in the beginning we're all competition, but we're not. You're going to really learn that we're really going to help you target your customers, and you really can do a lot of collaborations. So if you're going through something and you're trying to find, you know, again, zippers are the hardest thing, those of us, zippers, and then certain colored fabrics. And then a lot of people have been collaborating together as well to buy fabrics, because it is, you know, we'll talk about it in the sourcing section, but, you know, a lot of times the minimums are quite high, and a lot of us get very frustrated with that. And that way then people can collaborate together and make purchases for basic fabrics that they need too as well. So please make sure that, you know, of anything that you take away today, that you form a network around you. If it's not with us here at SheTrades, but really make sure that you're beginning to form a network of support system. You know, you're going to need to bounce things off of each other. You're really going to, all of us have employees or deal with people that make our products, and they could drive us crazy sometimes. And sometimes you just need to vent, right? You just really need to make sure that you're venting and that you have someone that you really can talk to. And, you know, you just really want to make sure that you're really forming that group around you and making sure that, you know, you're really there.